Hey everyone, how's it going? I'm on the next phase of my Florida trip. I am having just so much fun on this trip so far. It has been absolutely amazing. If you missed last week's video, I'm out in Florida right now. I'll be here for a week, just focused on wildlife photography. I've had so much fun. In my previous video, I took you along with me as I explored this maze in the mangroves, this series of waterways, looking for whatever wildlife I could find. I was specifically looking for just as many species of birds as I could find to photograph, and it did not disappoint. I had so much fun with such a huge variety of birds out in that area. I left that area this morning, and now I am in a completely different area. This is actually a swamp during the dry season. So this is going to be the next phase of my Florida trip, and this will take up the rest of my time out here. And my priorities during this part of the trip are actually going to be looking for barred owls. That's a species I've not really spent time with or photographed before, as well as alligators. So where this is a swamp, this doesn't seem like normal Florida habitat, I know, but there are some ponds that haven't quite dried up yet. There's some gator holes that I'll be checking out in different areas like that to hopefully photograph some gators and, again, hopefully get some barred owls while I'm out here as well. So fingers crossed I'll be able to get both of those. Now, it's been quite the adventure. Just getting here today, it's been a pretty long day for me, but I'm not going to bore you just telling you about it right here and now. So I'm going to get my tent and camp set up, and I'll tell you about my day as I do that. As I arrived in the area earlier in the day, I immediately noticed a thick layer of smoke in the air. I looked around and saw that a fire had recently burned through the area. And I mean very recently. Many of the plants were still smoldering and many of the trees were still on fire. I quickly checked on the status of my backpacking permit and saw that it was still active and approved. The fire was a controlled burn. These are done periodically to clear underbrush and other flammable materials to help prevent larger, uncontrollable fires in the future. Loading up my gear, I headed into the burn area, hoping that when I arrived to my final destination, that it would not be burned or smoky. It was eerie hiking through the forest, not a sound save for the crackle of burning trees. And there we have it. It's going to be home for tonight. I don't know how long I'll end up staying at this spot, honestly. If you couldn't tell, it still is fairly smoky here. Even though there weren't a lot of burn areas in this immediate area, it's still pretty smoky. So I don't know how long I'll actually be in this spot, and this might change my plans for the remainder of the trip. I don't know. Just because this area was where I was hoping to find some barred owls, but a lot of it is now burned. That might end up changing some things. So I'll keep you updated as I go over the next few days. But for now, I'm losing light quick, so I'm gonna head out and start looking for owls, see what we can find. Well, it's getting dark really quick. I've been out for about 45 minutes just exploring this section of swamp, this forested area of the swamp. I love terrain like this when you get these old trees with the moss and the lichen on it. It is just so much fun. I absolutely love areas like this. I hope this area turns out to be really good. As I was out tonight, for the last 45 minutes or so, I hardly saw or heard anything other than the crickets that you can hear. I mean, hardly even a small bird or any rodents or anything like that. I just didn't really see or hear much of anything, and I'm thinking it's because of the burn. I mean, other than this immediate area that I'm in, pretty much everything else has just been torched. I understand it's necessary, but it's kind of sad to see, and the smoke, it's getting a lot thicker. I think things are just starting to settle. So I think the wildlife just have moved out of the area, but I don't know. We'll see what the morning has to offer, and I'll listen for owls tonight as well. I found that's a really good way to find if there are owls in an area, is to listen for them throughout the night. So we'll see what this area has to offer, and like I mentioned before, if I have to change my plan a little bit, then I'll do that. I mean, I've got a permit to camp out here for the next 4 days. We'll see what ends up happening. If there's nothing out here, there's no reason to stay in the area. So we'll see what happens. But for now, I'm gonna get some dinner. It's getting dark really quick, and I'll finish setting up my camp inside my tent and everything. And yeah, I thought I heard something, but yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna get some dinner now, and I'll check in with you guys in the morning. Darkness came quickly. I had been settled down for a few hours when I realized it was no longer safe for me to be where I was. It was becoming hard to breathe, a headache had set in, and I noticed that my thoughts were coming slowly and were largely incoherent. I looked outside of my tent with my flashlight and was surprised when I couldn't see the trees just a few yards away. I hadn't realized how thick the smoke had become, and so I quickly packed up and hiked out of the area in the dark. Fresh air was a relief when I finally found it. When clear thought returned, I realized that I was probably experiencing the early stages of carbon monoxide poisoning. As I hiked back to my vehicle, I could see the glow of trees burning around me and hear the distant call of barred owls seemingly taunting me as I headed back to safety. Hey everyone, thought it was time for a little update for you. So I'm out in this beautiful wildlife reserve out here, and I've had such a fun time earlier this morning looking for and finding wildlife to photograph. I was able to find a couple of gators, which was awesome, as well as a bunch of birds to photograph. I even saw a raccoon. I wasn't able to get any pictures of him though, unfortunately. That would have been really cool. But yeah, I've had some interesting developments happen today, this trip, let me tell you. So yesterday I was dealing with all the fire stuff. Last night I was dealing with the smoke and getting out of that area. And I got back to my car this afternoon, my rental car. And it was really hot, so I rolled the windows down, got some lunch here, and I was getting ready to head back out and look for more wildlife. And this old rental car here will not start. It is completely dead. So this nice gal helped me out, and we tried jumping it. Nothing. I mean, you can even tell that we were trying to jump it. It is just flatline, just completely dead. And of course, all the windows are down, and they're electric windows, so I can't get them back up. And I want to go out and look for wildlife, but all my stuff is in this car, and you know, somebody could steal the stereo or, you know, whatever. So I can't leave the car. I'm totally stuck at the car. And you know, the worst part of everything is it's getting a little bit later in the evening now, and I hear a barred owl calling off in the distance, and I can't go look for him, and it's killing me. Honestly, I might just take the risk and just carry what I can with me of my stuff. That I've got more stuff than I can carry in one load, but I might carry as much as I can with me and just go start looking for him. I don't know, but again, I don't want somebody to rip off the stereo or something. Not that I think that would happen out here, but you never know. Good old rental vehicles. It rained for a little bit as well, and I got a bunch of stuff in the car wet, which was great. And the car rental agency, of course, it's a day where they're closed, and I was able to get somebody on the phone, but they said they couldn't get AAA out here to exchange vehicles until probably tomorrow sometime. So it's like a whole day that I'm just going to be stuck by this car, which is kind of a bummer. I mean, I've got limited time out here, and I've just run into so many snags on this trip. But you know what? It is what it is. I'm learning as I go. I guess I should start carrying spare car batteries with me or something. I don't know. But I'm learning as I go, and I know there's owls in this area. I saw the gators today, which was great. I know there's owls in that area I was in, camped at, well, where I set up camp yesterday and pulled out last night. I heard those owls out there, so I know I'm on the right track. I feel like my hands are tied and I can't do much. But I mean, look at this, absolutely beautiful area. You probably can't see much, it's getting pretty dark pretty quick, but yeah, beautiful area. Maybe the owl will come a little bit closer to the car here, you never know. But yeah, I'll keep you guys updated. I might have to sleep here tonight, which I hope I don't get fined for it, because no overnight camping here. But you know what? It is what it is, and I'll deal with it as it comes. So I will check in with you guys later and keep you updated. Night arrived, and I was beginning to think I wouldn't see the tow truck driver with the replacement vehicle. Then, at 2:30 a.m., he arrived. Thanks, Hector. You saved my trip. I got a few hours of sleep that night, and then headed back out in the morning while it was still dark in search of wildlife, anxious to make up for time that I had lost over the last couple of days. I absolutely love Florida. Today was incredible. You know, after last night's whole fiasco with the rental car thing and only getting a few hours of sleep last night, I was worried that I wouldn't have energy today to get out all day and photograph wildlife, but I did. And it's because there was just so much wildlife. It just kept me going. Literally, like one thing after another. I visited 2 different areas today that I had on my list of places that I wanted to visit here in Florida. My backup list, which I'm glad that I brought with me. And this place, it just amazes me. This part of the country, just the amount of wildlife that there is out here. And how tolerant that wildlife is. You know, back at home, we have a lot of wildlife, but it's very spread out and it's not tolerant for the most part, unless you go somewhere like Yellowstone or Grand Teton, you know, the national parks. Other than that, you just don't find tolerant wildlife and a lot of different species together, unless you're photographing like ducks or something. But even then, it's usually only like a handful of species. Whereas here, you know, I go out and I'm just photographing stuff all day, and it's all, for the most part, tolerant wildlife, just one species after another, after another, after another. It's just mind-boggling to me, and I absolutely love it. Oh, and these views, it's so pretty. I'm loving it out here. So my 2 top encounters for today that I'm most happy with. First one, kind of random, was a raccoon. You know, we have raccoons back at home, but again, they're not tolerant because they're trapped and they're seen as pests. And so they're really hard to even find outside during the day to be able to photograph. But I had one out here this morning. It was wonderful. I watched him just kind of like grub around in the water, looking for his breakfast. Was able to get some pictures of him that I'm really happy with. And he didn't even care that I was there. It was wonderful. I'm just really, really happy with that encounter. And then my top encounter that I'm most happy about. First, let's look at the sunset. Absolutely beautiful. Anyways, top encounter that I'm most happy about, I was not expecting on this trip. It's a species we don't even have in my part of the country. I've never seen one before. It was an armadillo. And I had so much fun with that little guy. It was already getting pretty dark when I found him, and he was really skittish, but luckily for me, armadillos have notoriously bad eyesight, so as long as I held still, he didn't even know that I was there, and I was able to get some pictures of him. The camera had a really hard time focusing on his eye for some reason, even with the manual point focus. It just kept searching and couldn't like lock on a focus a lot. So I got some pictures I need to double check, but I'm really happy with them. The others, I don't know if I'll be able to do much with them. But yeah, I was just so thrilled to be able to see him and photograph him. It's just been amazing. Such an incredible place out here. I'm absolutely loving it. I apologize for the shaky camera. I'm hoofing it back to my new rental vehicle. It's getting dark really quick, so I apologize. But I wanted to update you, tell you about my amazing day before it got too dark to do so. So tomorrow's my last full day out here, and I'm just gonna make the most of it. So heading back to the vehicle now. I'm gonna grab some dinner, try to catch up on some sleep, and then we'll start dark and early again tomorrow morning and make the most of my last full day out here. I just heard something. I don't know what that was. So yeah, we'll see you guys in the morning. Wonderful day out here. I'm loving this.